Okay, good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us here for our Tuesday meeting of the Board of Commissioners for Center County. It's February 9th, 2021. So we're going to call the meeting to order at this point and begin recording our meeting. Okay, the recording has begun and we've called things to order. Our first order of business is for the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand if you're able and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you all very much. At this time, we're going to accept any public comment for items not appearing on today's agenda. If you do have any public comment that you wish to make, please unmute yourself and you can offer it at this time. So is there any public comment for items not on our agenda? Okay, seeing none, if there are any public comments for items that are on our agenda, we will take them when they're under consideration. We will move now to consider approving our minutes from Tuesday, February 2nd.
Motion to approve the meeting minutes from February 2nd.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes. Any further discussion on the minutes?
Just want to
Hearing
note that
none,
we're seconding. I second the second of the second.
Yes, I was
That's
thinking about that.
That's right.
And it's the second month, too.
That's right. Yes. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried. Okay. All right. So beginning our proclamations for today, we have the second proclamation of this year, and it is recognizing and celebrating Career and Technical Education Month. And so we're delighted to have Mary Ann Volders from CPI and Mark Maggs from South Hills Business School with us today, both to talk a little bit about how they are focused on improving career and tech here in Center County. So we will start with Mary Ann Volders, turn it over to her, and then go to Mark Maggs. So good morning to both of you.
Good morning. Thank you for having us, as you do every February. We really appreciate it. You know, we could talk about what we're doing in Center County, but I want to talk about the last year. It's been an interesting year, as we all know, and we are very proud at CPI to say that we have been in business all but 13 days. So we have had students in our building learning hands-on, and that is so important to career and tech ed, as we all know. So we're so proud that they have been here. Our teachers have stepped up. They are doing everything they can possibly do to offer virtual and remote learning when necessary. You know, our teachers have changed the way they're doing things. They understand now that when the students are here, get into the labs, learn that, and we can do the other stuff online as we're all learning to do things virtually. Our enrollment has been the same this year. You know, next year we're a little bit worried. We can't have all of our Bellefonte, Penns Valley, and Bald Eagle 8th and 9th graders come through like we typically do, but I'm sure it'll work itself out because everybody understands the value of career and technical education. So it's been an interesting year. I look forward to getting back to normal, but I'm very proud of everything that we have accomplished, just maintaining some kind of normalcy in the last, we're almost to March 13th, so last year. I do have two students that are with me today. I don't know if you would want to hear from them or not. They're what I'd like to call our Sunshine Girls. They are medical science students, and they've been working for us since we reopened in June. They do our daily screenings. They work for us. They're cyber students. One's at Bellefonte, one's at Penns Valley, and then they attend our medical science program in the afternoon. So they are the whole component of what's really been going on in the last year. Workers, students, screeners, and so on. So they're actually here in my office with me. I'll ask Alicia to go ahead and log on if you don't mind. So it's Alicia Yoder from Penns Valley and Madison Corman from Bellefonte. They're medical science students and they're seniors, and I'll let them just talk for a minute if you don't mind.
Go ahead, girls. All right. So I started at CPI my sophomore year, which was 2 years ago, and I decided to come to CPI because I knew that they had a medical science class, and I knew that in my mind I would much rather spend my time, my 2.5 hours a day, learning material that would help me with my future career instead of being at Bellefonte and being in classes that are important but aren't as important to me as the medical science classes. And I've learned so much that's going to help me. I'm going to begin working as a CNA in 2 weeks, and I have all these skills that I've learned from CPI that's really going to help in the future.
I'm Alicia, and I agree with literally everything Maddie just said. I joined also my sophomore year, and it was really hard for me to step out of my comfort zone and actually come here because I don't like to step out of my comfort zone. But CPI has helped me grow as a person, and I cannot thank this place enough for the kind people and everybody supporting me, and they just really know how to work with kids. I've always struggled in school and could never really get good grades, and when I came here, my grades skyrocketed, and I've been doing so well in school. I'm actually working as a CNA too. I work every weekend, and I try to pick up shifts after school. With COVID, it's been kind of hard because I don't want to chance it, but it's a great experience, and I've loved being here.
I'm not sure if they mentioned it, but I'll just leave it with this. They're both going to be in our LPN program next year. So they're staying with us next year too. So we love to see that happen as well. So that's all. I want to thank you all again. We really appreciate that you do this for us each year.
Absolutely. And to your guests, Marianne, both of you, congratulations on all that you're doing. And we really appreciate that you are focused on medical sciences here in our community. So it's exciting stuff. So we wish you the best of luck in your future. But thank you for being here today. Thanks for making the time. So we're all about partnership and collaboration again, and South Hills. We're so excited to have Mark with us today. And Mark, we'll turn it over to you for a few words. Good morning.
Oh, well, thank you guys, and first, thank you to the commissioners for putting this official proclamation together and getting a little bit more wind in our sails and oomph behind our message. So thank you guys for doing that, and thank you to the young ladies who just spoke. You are the young people that I hang my hat on. When I see how you just carried yourself in that little message, you're the future. People talk about young people this, young people that. No, you're the young people that will build that we're going to build on. So thank you guys for your message. I was impressed, and you made my heart sing. So thank you for that. Nice job, Marianne. Good pick. Yeah, I want to thank you guys for that. And like Marianne, we just to look back, which everybody seems to be doing now, is hopefully 2021 will be a little bit better than 2020. And but we didn't miss a beat either. We didn't miss any days at all. We kicked in Zoom mode and purchased tens and tens of thousands of dollars of equipment to make that possible, through the CARES Act and the PPP, and now Carissa's coming out and all that stuff. So we're taking full advantage of that. And I can tell you, from the white on my face, I'll tell you that you can not only teach young dogs new tricks, you can teach old dogs new tricks. So, you got it. What necessity is the mother of invention? Well, we had all kinds of inventions going on in the last 10 or 11 months. And I'm sure Marianne can vouch for how quick you can turn a ship when you have to. So, but we're looking for a good future here. We did have our enrollment is down a little bit. And when we surveyed people as to the reason of that, it was fear. People were afraid to leave their homes, and either the students themselves were fearful, or their parents were fearful, or a combination thereof. But we're hoping, as the tide turns here a little bit, that people will feel comfortable going out there and getting after it, like these two young ladies down here sitting on the Zoom screen. So, thank you very much, Steve and Mike and Mark. Appreciate everything you're doing for us.
Well, Mark, thank you so much for offering those kind words. We are always happy to do this every February, and I think next when we're joining everybody together in 2022, I think we'll be it maybe in person. So we look forward to seeing you next year doing the same thing, but again, recognizing the young people who you, Marianne and Mark, are helping to succeed and build an amazing career. So thank you for that. And we'll open it up for any other comments from Commissioner Higgins, Commissioner Dersham, and then we'll look for the motion to approve the proclamation. But Commissioner Higgins.
Thanks, Mike. I've really been wanting to speak. Very exciting that this is Career and Technical Education Month. A lot going on at our 3 schools here in Center County besides Penn State that offer post-secondary education. do want to address Alicia and Maddie. Great job. We'll be needing the two of you and a whole lot more people here in the very near future as the vaccine distribution really starts to ramp up. Wanted to mention to the two of you that the Center County Commissioners are so supportive of career and technical education that we have $15,000 of scholarships available this year for students going to CPI, South Hills, and the Central Pennsylvania Phlebotomy Institution. All you have to do is volunteer for either a fire company or an ambulance service. And we'll send a check of $2,500 to any one of those three schools, any course of study. Doesn't even have to be medical emergency related. So please do consider that. It's my understanding that the $2,500 is about a quarter roughly of the cost of a year's education at either of the two major schools. So very much appreciate you being on the Zoom meeting. Thanks again to Mary Ann and Mark for taking some time out of their day. Great schools, great programs. In a year or 2 years, you can really advance your career, substantially improve your earnings potential, and do quite a bit more for your fellow citizens here in Center County with degrees from any of the schools. So thanks again. Very excited about this opportunity to assist career and technical ed in Center County. Thanks. I'll turn it over to Steve.
Well, I just want to say, first of all, thank you for both of your programs are amazing, because unlike a lot of education, yours are hands-on, where it makes it particularly difficult to operate under these tenuous times. So the amount of work and the amount of effort that you have to put in to make things happen is just almost unquantifiable. We want to thank you for that. But we also want to thank you for the products that you produce, i.e. the students that come out of your programs, because they're the ones that are going to be the next generation of folks that do our plumbing and do our air conditioning and do all the accounting and all the other things and business management that makes our society run. And we just want to say thank you. I don't think it's given enough exposure to see the opportunities that both your schools provide. But I just want to say thank you again from the bottom of my heart to see your programs thrive, and we continue to be supportive. And if there's anything we can do in the future, please, don't hesitate to ask. So thank you both very much.
Okay, so with that, we would then look for a motion to adopt proclamation number 2 of 2021.
An enthusiastic motion to adopt proclamation number 2, proclaiming February of 2021 as Career and Technical Education Month.
And I will proudly second that.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion on that?
Big thank you, gentlemen. Very appreciate you guys very, very much. You work hard all day, every day, all week, all year, and it's noticeable. We all notice how hard you guys work, and I don't take that for granted, and none of us do. Thank you guys for what you do for the county.
Thank you.
I know a lot of instructors at both schools, and I know they work well outside of classroom hours, and they do a lot for their students that's above and beyond. Thanks.
Okay, so we did the motion in the second, and then hearing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried. Okay, well, thank you again, both Mary Ann and Mark. We appreciate all you do. Thank you as well to Alicia and Maddie for being with us today. We look forward to seeing everybody once again. So take care and have a great day. Okay, we're going to move then into COVID-19 planning and response, and we will turn it over to Margaret at this time. Good morning, Margaret.
Morning, everyone. The agenda item this morning under the COVID-19 planning and response item is consideration of extending the county's full remote work status, which is scheduled to end this Friday, February the 12th. Just for some context, as you recall, the county returned to full remote work status on Monday, November 30th. This action was taken in response to some guidance, additional guidance that came from the state, and also the numbers of COVID-19 positive cases in our county was starting to climb at that point in time, and there were thinking that this was a very important measure for safety to move back to full remote work status. We also at that time moved our Tuesday Board of Commissioners meetings to a virtual platform, such as this morning that began on December the 1st. So in addition to looking at state guidance and being in lockstep with the state guidance, we do look at other factors. And I will share with you that between January 29th and February 5th here in Center County, the positivity rate has been moved by the state from moderate to substantial. And that has triggered the human services agencies of the state to continue keeping a lot of our provider agency services closed at this point in time. So there are a couple of options that the Board of Commissioners could consider at this point in time. One, of course, would be to return to a less restrictive work setting and go back to a more open rotation. Second option would be to extend this through perhaps the beginning of March. I know for planning purposes, it's important to give our department heads and others the understanding of what this looks like in terms of time frame so that they can schedule meetings accordingly and so forth. And the third option would be to just keep this open-ended and follow state guidance. The state, of course, has been very clear in saying that where telework is possible, it should continue. So those are three options. I'm sure there are others, but for discussion purposes, I'll put them on the table and open it up to you.
Okay, thank you, Margaret. I think the one option you outlined, which was to continue following the state guidance regarding telework, I think that's probably the best in terms of getting advice and guidance from health experts. I think that's an important thing for us to do. Obviously, we all want to, again, be able to be in the office if we, work in person. But in terms of the return of students, Penn State students, we know that cases may increase with that. In addition to this new strain that is out there, I think we don't know yet how that's going to come, if that's going to come to Center County. And so I think also as well is, does service delivery still occur in the way that we have always expected it to? And I think it has. From our many of our different agencies that are still able to do the work that they need to do. So just from my standpoint, I think following the state guidance would be important. Obviously, you're in constant communication with department heads and elected officials if there need to be some exceptions or things of that manner. But I think continuing in the state that we're in, I think is the best course of action at this point.
I think we should continue the state we're in, following the state guidelines, but should we be somewhat definitive and possibly extend this for another 4 weeks or so? I hope in 4 weeks, transmission will be down substantially, but as Commissioner Pipe mentioned, there are now multiple new mutations or variants of the coronavirus that, if anything, are more contagious than the original. Also looking at how high the positivity rates are, not just in Center County, but even the counties directly south of us. I think it's best we continue our current course for, say, roughly another 4 weeks. Obviously, if an exception needs to be made due to somebody who has absolutely no ability to use computers and whatnot, I'm fine with that. But those types of meetings should be exceptions that should try to be avoided when possible. So yeah, I'd like to continue maybe for roughly another 4 weeks or so.
I would agree that we should follow the guidelines. However, I think it should be reviewed every 2 weeks, just in case there is a change in path. So I would suggest that we continue for the 4 week period with 2 week reviews.
No, that sounds good.
Okay. That's, so we would do a check-in then in 2 weeks. So what
So
dates,
we would,
please, Margaret? Yep, yep.
we would extend the full remote status, work status until March the 12th. That would be 4 weeks from this Friday, with a check-in at the last week of February. 2 week
Okay.
check-in. So we could check in 2 weeks from today
Okay,
at this meeting. So that would be February 23rd. That would be the check-in date. And then we would, based on what we're seeing at that point in time, we either continue on to March 12th or you all make an adjustment.
okay. That sounds like a good way to go about it. Okay, excellent. Okay. All right, great. Thanks for the feedback, everybody. That's great. Good stuff. Thank you, Margaret. All right, contracts. We're moving into contracts now. And we have one from court administration. And Margaret, would you want to tackle that one, please?
Certainly. This item involves the installation of a silent panic alert system from Vigilant Security at the Center Hall MDJ office. The equipment installation cost is $1,959.83, and a monitoring service is included for $51 per month, for a total of $2,520.83. The funding for this will come from court administration's application to the AOPC for the cost of actually installing the equipment, and monitoring. The monitoring service is separate and would be covered by the court administration budget.
Okay, thank you. Any questions on this? Okay, hearing none, is there a motion?
Motion to approve the installation from Vigilant Security to next week's consent agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried. Okay, thank you very much, Margaret. In moving into human services, we have items for MHID, EI, drug and alcohol, and adult services. We'll turn it over at this point to Natalie. Good morning, Natalie.
Good morning. So I will cover for you the MHID, EI, drug and alcohol contracts. So we have four. These four contracts are for the remainder of the fiscal year through June 30th, 2021. The allocation that was approved with the secondary state budget approval. So these services include our Student Assistance Program with Kim Rimmy, Early Intervention Program with Bowers All About Kids, Mental Health Services with Penn State Psychological Clinic, and Drug and Alcohol Services with Quest. And so these are just adding additional funds to the contract to finish out the fiscal year for them. And we're all asking for same-day approval to allow for process of those payments.
Okay, thank you, Natalie. Any questions on this from Natalie?
No, she answered my question about the 5/12 of the year versus finishing out the full year.
I'm good.
Okay, all right. We would then look for a motion.
Motion to approve the mental health, intellectual disability, early intervention, drug and alcohol items 1 through 4.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
The motion carries. Thank you very much, Natalie.
Thank you. And I think Faith is on for hers, I believe.
Yes, looks
Not
like, nope, it looks like Faith is here, and we will turn it over to her for these items. Good morning, Faith.
Wonderful. Good morning. Thank you so much. So I will first start with my contract addendums. These are all to fulfill our 12-month contracts with our existing providers. So the first is a contract addendum with Center Helps for the 24/7 information referral hotline. We'll be increasing that contract to $70,000. Contract addendum for Center Helps for basic needs case management. We'll be increasing that contract to $83,205.48. I just want to note that that's substantially greater than usual. And the reason for that is we had additional money in our block grant from having HAP CARES dollars. And this is a one-time payment or assistance to support their case management services. The contract addendum with Center Safe for a bridge or transitional housing. Their contract will be increased to $73,545. Contract addendum with Center Volunteers in Medicine for their basic needs medical case management program. That contract will be increased to $11,665. Contract addendum for housing transitions. We have the Homemaker Services Case Management Program, and that will increase to $19,529. Again, with housing transitions for their bridge or transitional housing program, contract increased to $59,924. Housing transitions for housing case management, increased contract to $61,059. Heading into a different agency, we have Interfaith Human Services. We're increasing their financial management or financial care program to $12,340. And just to make note that that includes our office, CYS, and aging. Contract addendum for Center County Youth Services Bureau. They provide us administrative assistance with our RAP or rental and mortgage assistance program, and that will be increased to $127,098. And the last contract addendum is with Service Access Management. This is not an increase in money, it's just an extension of the time frame for our fair rental assistance program. We had some additional funding from 2020 that we're moving into 2021, just simply because we had so much funding in rental assistance. Lastly, for contracts, I have a new contract with Service Access Management to provide administrative assistance for fair rental assistance, which will be, I believe, our 4th round that will start in 2021 once we receive funding from PHFA. And that will be for, for $52,000.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Faith.
Yep.
We have these contracts here. I think we're all very interested. If you have any information regarding the new money that's been allocated through the recent bill that was signed, Senate Bill 109. So if we could keep you, or if you would be willing to just discuss that briefly, or what you know at least, just so we could maybe look at that. But we'll first take any questions on these 11 items.
So Faith, the money there for rental assistance, that is a reallocation of money that we already have?
Are you talking about the fair rental assistance with Sam?
Yeah.
Yes, so we have 2 pots of money for that particular program. We have fair grant funds through PHFA, and then we have Act 137. So in 2020, we were able to spend down our PHFA grant funds, about $22,000 by June. And that was right in the same time frame when the CARES Rent Relief Program opened, which, as you know, is substantially funded. So we didn't actually have to access our Act 137 dollars because we were able to meet the community need with another source. So really all we're doing is the money is available and we're moving it into our 2021 program. We just had to extend the contract for Sam to provide a service for that particular cycle of funding, if that makes sense.
All right. So with the Senate Bill 109, which I think is now being called Act 1 of 2021, can we spend these monies here over the next month or two with the understanding that we may have the Act 1 money coming up shortly after that?
Mm-hmm. So right now our goal with this particular pot of money that was from 2020, we're trying to spend that as quickly as effectively as possible to people that live in those municipalities. So the way that we're doing that is, of course, we have our housing program specialist that operates the program, but we also have extended out the opportunity for Center Help's Basic Needs Case Management to submit applications to us as well. So that will at least get the process rolling, and we're not putting a monthly cap on that pot of money. It's spend it now for the people that need it. As for the Senate bill that you're talking about, that will definitely shake things up, obviously. And then what we end up doing, or what we did last time with the CARES rent relief, is our existing rental assistance oftentimes goes towards security deposit and first month's rent, because those are services that can't quite fit the mold of rental assistance that is for arrears or, to prevent that homelessness in that capacity. So that's kind of where I envision FAIR will fall, to try and help people with that.
Great. I'll yield the rest of my time on the current contracts to Steve.
Oh, I'm good. I think as we move forward, we need to have a conversation about what Act 109 is going to do to the human service area, because obviously that's going to be a whole new infrastructure we're going to have to create to distribute those funds. So anyways, thank you for all your hard work.
Thank you.
So, and I think that the prime thing with this is we're still looking for regulations that are going to be put out by DCED, probably PHFA and other groups about how this money can be spent, what it looks like, etc. But I think our what we're very keen on is making sure that people in our community know that if they have been affected by the pandemic and they've lost employment, that they are going to be able to be helped by this program. And so if there are things that we can do right now, just to, again, we don't know all the nitty gritty about this, but it probably will look something like what you've talked about before, Faith, or the program that you did before, which was a tremendous amount of work working with landlords and tenants. But if you can just maybe just say a little bit about what you know about what the rental and also believe the utility as well, where this is going to now include options for utility payments. But if you can maybe just talk in very broad strokes about this, just so we can let our community know that more help is on the way.
Sure, absolutely. Oh, go ahead, Mark. Go ahead, Mark.
Oh, go ahead.
So what I was going to say is the message that we've been giving to the community in our department is that we expect there to be funding available as of April 1st. So that's kind of like our standard guideline. Now, whether that means the program officially opens April 1st or not is hard to say. I think that's just the time in which the state is required to get funding to us, and they will be providing it in large lump sums, not the full allocation as PHFA did. So the message that we're providing at this time is still please contact us. Our funds are limited because that's just how it unfortunately works. Pete, our housing program specialist, has also been talking to people about the CDC form. In order to prevent eviction because of your lack of payment, you still need to file a CDC form with your landlord. That will be your support in court should the lawyer or should your landlord decide to go that route. There are also resources through the DOJ if our tenants have any questions or concerns about their inability to pay and they have a landlord that's still trying to process eviction. So those are the conversations that we're trying to have with people. As you can imagine, we have a lot of folks that are coming back from the CARES rent relief program that their situation hasn't improved. We have some new people. There's a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of scared tenants and residents, and we know that. So that's how we're trying to address it currently. So as for this new program, you know, I know probably just about as much as you do from what's on paper. You are correct. There is a rental assistance component and utility assistance. It seems that it'll be much easier for people to access. There won't be as many barriers, which was what made administering the program very challenging. There will not be this ridiculous $750 cap. You know, we're going to be able to meet the need of the person and their monthly rent up to 12 months, either going back to March 2020 or moving forward. I do have a plan in place. I do have many of, you know, color coordinated flow charts to try and prepare for this. While April 1st is very far away for people that are experiencing crisis, it's actually a gift to us to be able to prepare for this. And we have a lot of lessons learned from CARES rent relief. We're going to do the very best that we can to help as many people as possible. The application process will be similar. It's still going to be the responsibility of the tenant and landlord to apply. From what I understand, they'll be applying through Compass, which is the system that the state already uses for things like food stamps or subsidized childcare. As far as I know, they still have the app where people can submit their information electronically from their phone. We will be accepting paper applications. The state will provide that, and Center County, of course, will encourage that for anyone that doesn't have access to a computer. I've heard some other counties that are struggling with that because, of course, we're all remote. And so paper does make things more complicated, but obviously we will be here to help with that. So again, we're in the beginning phases. That's the message that we're giving to people. We are trying to build a team to make this happen. It is a substantial request and amount of funding. As you can imagine, with $600 million, you know, divided amongst the counties per population, it's no joke. So like I said, we're in preparation mode. We're trying to figure out the logistics. You know, we're trying to also leave some space open to know that there are going to be things that we do not expect. We are also very fortunate to have been approved for the new caseworker position in our office, who will be able to also support people who are coming in through the program, but also expressing additional needs. We will at least have that position that can kind of walk them through and navigate instead of it just being so computerized and robotic. That's sometimes how it feels when you're administering a program like this. So I hope that answers some of your questions, but yeah, we're still learning too.
Absolutely. Thank you, Faith. And we're hearing from our County Commissioners Association that this is going to move very quickly, that there may be a deadline by Friday for us to accept some of these funds. It could potentially be just the hospitality and business portion of this money, may not be the housing funds, but regardless, we know this is going to move quickly. And I think it's important for us just to note today, the help is coming, additional help is coming, and we thank our legislators, governor, for getting additional funds to us. And this is, of course, leftover federal money from the original CARES Act. So we're still seeing the benefits of that. So just again, thank you. And again, this wasn't scripted. We just wanted to make sure that this was something we were discussing today and letting, again, the community know that more help is on the way. So thank you for taking the time to discuss that, Faith. Appreciate it.
Faith, I did want to mention, of course, the original one was from CARES Act was mostly about rent, but this one I believe also does cover mortgages. Based on what I'm reading in the act, I think I'm trying to get a page number here, but it says as long as the mortgage was in force before February 15th of 2020, I believe will also cover people's mortgage payments under this Act 1 of 2021.
So with the PHFA program, with the CARES rent relief, there was a mortgage program, but that was administered directly by PHFA. So people with a mortgage had to go directly to them, whereas for rent, they would come to the administrating county. I haven't personally seen anything about mortgage, but that doesn't mean it's not in there, and I'm not sure how they're planning to handle that. We also have a lot of questions about utilities. So we're not a department that typically handles utilities, and that's entirely other skill set. It doesn't mean we won't do it, of course, but we recognize that that's something we're going to have to work on. We don't have a lot of information yet about what that will look like. There are a lot of scenario-based questions that I think all of the counties have, not necessarily concerns, but questions and concerns about, you know, if A happens, what do we do? And we find that in every single one of our programs where it's easy enough to kind of set up the eligibility guidelines, but really challenging when you're actually working with real life scenarios. And living in those gray areas. So yeah, I'm not sure how the mortgage will be handled. As far as I'm aware, it's coming down through DHS. So I'm not sure if they'll have like another segment or if they're expecting us to do it. I'm sure we'll find out very soon.
Definitely check into that. But as both you and Commissioner Pike mentioned, this also covers utilities, which can be a very significant cost, especially in the winter. And it'll potentially cover arrears as well. So, I mean, I figure our share of that almost $600 million could probably help, I don't know, at least 1,000 families in Center County. So this is, if anything, I think going to be even larger than the CARES Act program.
Yeah, and I think the last important thing to note that we should all be aware of as a community and as a county is now it is very possible and maybe likely that the current administration will extend the federal eviction moratorium. If they don't, for whatever reason, we're looking at an eviction moratorium that's been on for over a year. And we're looking at the natural utility moratorium that will all end at the same time. So for the community to understand that, yes, this exists, but this will be a tsunami of need is kind of the best way I heard another county state it. And I think that as much as we can be transparent and upfront about how much of an undertaking this is, and to please work with us and be patient and know that we're here to help you, that would be great and appreciated. So yeah, spring should be a very interesting time.
Well, thank you, Faith. We diverted from the planned agenda. We'll come back to it now, just so we can finalize these agenda items, but obviously more to come on this. But we would look for a motion for these 11 items for adult services.
Motion to add adult services items 1 through 11 to next week's consent agenda.
I will second that.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion on this? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Motion is carried. Okay. Thank you, Faith. And actually, we're going to be staying with you for grants. We'll turn it back to you.
Okay. So a couple of different unique requests here. The first one is regarding the Department of Agriculture. We just signed over the summer our next 5-year agreement with them. And I can't quite explain to you what happened, but I guess there was a way in which I completed it where I identified our local lead agency, which is Central PA Community Action, that somehow triggered the department to send payment directly to community or to the community action instead of the county. And so it's an agreement between both entities, our department and community action, that funding should be sent directly to our department so that they then invoice us. Reason being is that just gives us a little more stake in the game to actually monitor them. Otherwise, they're receiving the funding directly, spending it. We have full trust in the provider, but then we're still ultimately responsible for the funds and how they're spent and monitoring and auditing. And that just makes us all pretty uncomfortable. So we are requesting a letter from you to approve this change. We're requesting that would go into effect for the next fiscal year for July 1st of 2021. In the meantime, Community Action's done a really nice job of sending us like a summary of expenses that kind of is like an invoice, just so we can document it. But this is at the request of the Department of Ag to consider the change.
Okay, thank you, Faith.
Yeah.
We would look for a motion to that effect.
Motion to approve the submission of a grant modification to the Department of Agriculture.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
So the second request is also a change to a current contract. This is with DCD, or the Department of Community and Economic Development. This is in regards to our Emergency Solutions Grant, or the ESG-CV. Originally, when we applied for this program back in May, we requested funding for emergency shelter services and homeless prevention. And homeless prevention traditionally provides short to long-term rental assistance to keep people in their homes. When we applied for the funding, we expected the moratorium at that time to be lifted, which, as you know, we've all gone through a cycle where we think the eviction moratorium is going to lift and it gets extended. And we also were not aware of the CARES rent relief program. So it's twofold. We have found ourselves in a position where there is an enormous amount of rental assistance coming into our state and to our county, which would make it unlikely for us to tap into this homeless prevention money. It's also become incredibly challenging to use. There are so many rules and restrictions to when and how we can spend it because of the eviction moratorium that it's really just $115,500 sitting there when we know that people are in need. So through our other programming and in discussion with multiple providers and community partners, the biggest thing that we see right now is an increased need for rapid rehousing. That is already a program that exists that we fund through HUD, and we outsource to housing transitions. Center Safe also has a rapid rehousing program, but what we're finding is it's becoming very challenging for us to help people exit shelter. The movement of housing and the movement of rental units has stopped, as you can imagine. And we're also using funding from DCED that limits us to serving people with that funding beyond 30 days. And as we know, people need beyond 30 days sometimes. So this particular letter is requesting to DCD that we move the $115,500 for that particular grant from homeless prevention into rapid rehousing programming. And that contract would end January 8th of 2022.
Okay, thank you, Faith. Any questions on this? Okay, seeing none, is there a motion?
Motion to approve the submission of a grant modification to DCED.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the motion is carried, and we have one more item here.
Yep. So this goes hand in hand with what I was just talking about with ESG-CV. There is now a second round that they are referring to as ESG-CV2. Because of our request to move funding over to Rapid Re and knowing that that is a need in the community, we are looking to submit an application for another or a third rapid rehousing program in Center County that would be administered by Housing Transitions. So on here, you'll see there's a resolution that's basically our request that is what will need to be signed for the grant for DCD from you. Item B is our request to have your support and permission, of course, to apply for the grant. This would be for $182,739.76. We based that amount of money off of our first HUD grant. So just to kind of give you an idea of where we came up with that not fully rounded number. We anticipate the grant to be for October 1st to 2021 until September 22, but it really just depends on when we find out if we're awarded when the grant comes in that we'll actually know the real cycle of funding. Part C is the Citizens Participation Plan. So unlike CV1, we are required to do some level of a participant plan for our residents. We only need to put up a notice of this actual meeting happening right now on our website, which we did on February 2nd, and on social media. So I just have to provide screenshots of that. But we also needed an amended citizens participation plan showing that we approve that we can do that in lieu of having actual hearings, public hearings. And then Part D, there's a language access plan certification that we're also required to have signed by the Board of Commissioners. So those are the 4 components so that we can move forward with submitting the application, which is due February 26th.
Okay, thank you, Faith. Any questions on those items? In terms of the admin funds for this program, would that be going to housing transitions?
Yeah, so with the first round, we allowed all admin to go to housing transitions. With this, it's a 6% admin, so it comes out to a little over $10,000. We haven't quite decided if we will take a portion of that. We traditionally do with our HUD grants because it helps to fund a lot of the travel and training that's required with HUD. We haven't had that. And so while we're seeing so many new programs in our department, we have to be, we want to be respectful of what we would actually use like $1,000 or $2,000 of that admin for us versus what housing transitions can do. So I'm not sure if the county will take anything for our department, but with some of the other programs coming up, like the rent relief through the state, I think that we will be okay. And this is a way that we can best support the program if we don't take it. But again, up in the air.
Okay, thanks, Faith. Yep. Okay, any final questions on this? Okay, hearing none. Did we have a motion, Commissioner Higgins? I'm sorry.
No, we didn't.
Okay,
Ready?
all right.
So motion to adopt resolution number 3 of 2021 and approve submission of an application to DCED for the Emergency Solution Grant CARES ESG-CV2, including items B through D.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried. Faith, thanks again. We appreciate your time.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, heading into planning, community development. We have 2 items here, and we are going to turn the first item over to Liz. Good morning, Liz.
Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity this morning. This morning, I'm asking the board's consideration and approval of payment number 9 to the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development in the amount of $3,900 for expenses incurred in the final phase of the Mountaintop Activity Center to J.C. Orr. Today marks a couple landmarks. This is the 3rd and final invoice from J.C. Orr, but it is actually the other final drawdown of the original grant. It goes back 2 years, the $100,000 Keystone Communities grant, which actually, it not only benefited the Mountaintop Activity Center, it also benefited their Mountaintop Water Authority, Haynes Woodward Water Authority, and the pool. So just as a little wrap up to this was the gift that kept on giving, and it really spread out and benefited a number of different entities. So I thank you for your consideration.
Absolutely. It's been a long road to get here. But a lot of good things have happened, and through challenging times. So this is great stuff. So essentially this payment would be the last of that grant.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Fantastic. So any other discussion questions before we look for a motion? Okay. Hearing none, would there be a motion?
Motion to add the payment request to next week's consent agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried. Okay. Thank you, Liz.
Thank you.
And then for this item, Ray, are we going to turn this over to you for some discussion on this?
Yes, and Aaron Latavik from HRG is also here to answer any questions the commissioners may have on the contract addendum. This morning, we do have that addendum on for your consideration to continue with having HRG, Herbert, Rowland, and Grubik provide us with supplemental engineering and related services as the countywide action plan coordinator for the Chesapeake Bay Watershed Implementation Plan. Our contract total, which was approved by DEP, is a total of $100,000. $95,000 supports the coordinator's position, and also $5,000 is there to support any administrative costs at the county level. This will be for a period of January 1st of this year through December 31st of 2021. And a majority of the changes within the addendum, which we originally had the commissioners sign last year, dealt with the development of the cap. This year, it's going to be transition into implementation of the cap, the countywide action plan. So I'd let Aaron add anything that I may have missed with the contract addendum and give her a chance to answer any questions as well.
Thank you, Ray. And thank you, commissioners, for the opportunity to say hello today. And hopefully we'll be able to answer additional questions about the countywide action plan that we developed last year at our informational session that we have scheduled for next week. Pages 5 through 7 of the scope outline what 2021 will look like. And I wanted to commend the county staff at both planning and the conservation district because they really stepped up this past year, and I'm really looking forward to what we have to accomplish this year with our partners. The scope outline is there for your review, but I also wanted to mention that the idea here is that we, as coordinating water quality efforts for local quality improvement, one of our goals is to connect together synergies between partners that have interest in doing water quality work, agricultural owners that need some technical assistance, and more recently, recognition that we need to pair these projects up with municipalities' needs because their local improvement budgets were really dramatically impacted by COVID this past year. So to the extent that as we're applying for future funding for water quality projects and we can address local infrastructure or flood mitigation needs, we have keen awareness of it and we'll keep our eyes open so that we can get as much benefit out of the countywide action plan implementation as possible. It is fully funded through DEP currently. It is about the Chesapeake Bay, but our focus is on local needs. I'll stop there and happy to answer any questions. And again, we'll have some additional time next week too for more detail. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ray and Aaron. We appreciate you being here today. Aaron, thank you. Any questions that we'd like to have at this time? Okay, seeing no questions. Okay, thank you, Commissioner. We will then look forward to that informational session next week. So we look for then a motion.
Motion to add the contract addendum with HRG Inc. to next week's consent agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Aye. The motion is carried. Okay. Thank you both again. Appreciate it.
Thank you,
Thank you
commissioners.
very much.
Okay, consent agenda. We will then look for a motion to approve that.
Motion to approve today's consent agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried. For our ABCs today, we will look for a motion to approve the resignations, appointments, and reappointments for the MHID Advisory Board, Higher Ed Authority, and Aging Advisory Council. And we should also note that we need to change some of the deadlines, we should say. For the MHID Advisory Board, we have two individuals, April Detar and Melissa Pell. For April's, we just need to recognize that she would be resigning immediately. And then for Melissa's, it will be the end of May. So just want to note that. So Melissa will still serve with us for a little bit longer, but it'll be at the end of May, she'll be resigning. So with that being said, would there be a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the ABC resignations, appointment, and reappointments, including the slight change in effective resignation dates.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. We do not have any letters of support, liquid fuels, or administrators report today. Any discussion items before we go into the check run? Okay, hearing none, we turn it over to Commissioner Higgins for the check run.
Sure, somewhat smaller than average check run in the amount of $1,094,546.64. And the check of the week is to Central PA Community Action for $15,075.02. And it was CARES Act funding that goes toward the state food purchase program. I think actually we were talking about that a couple of minutes ago with Faith Ryan, but basically a program that allows the county to assist our local food banks and families in need of food and other sustenance. So would like to make a motion to approve today's check run.
I will second that.
It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion on the check run? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. And we will turn it over to Commissioner Dersham for a voter registration report.
Good morning. We have, as of February 8th, we have 105,302 registered voters. That's 44,104 Democratic registrations, 140 Green Party, 691 Libertarian, 13,941 no affiliation, and 42,533 Republican voters. That leaves a total of 3,893 for all others, which is down 17 registrants from last week. And I'd like to feature this week the American First Party. The American First folks have one registrant in Center County, and I want to recognize the one registrant. So my precinct feature of the week is precinct number 10, which votes at the St. Peter and Paul Catholic Church on 4th Street in Phillipsburg. Precinct number 10 in the last election had 632 registered voters. They voted 506 ballots were cast, and the percentage of turnout then would have been 80.06%, which is pretty standard what it looks like throughout the county for the last election. We also would like to recognize the folks that make it happen, which is Jean Lloyd, who's the judge of elections. The minority inspector was Della Wood. The majority inspector was Beth Freiberg, and the clerks were Donna Fetters, Brenda Smith, Sharon Goss, and Donna Shipley. We want to thank them all for their continued work and making the precinct number 10 function. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. For announcements, we do want to announce that Center County government offices will be closed in recognition of President's Day this upcoming Monday. So we wish you all a happy day on that day. In terms of executive sessions, we would look for any executive sessions we needed to report from Margaret.
No executive sessions to report today.
Okay, thank you. We have the balance of our public meeting schedule. At this time, we will take any questions from members of the press. Any questions from the press? Okay, hearing none, we would then look for a motion to adjourn at 10:59.
Motion to adjourn at 10:59.
I will second that.
It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion on that? Hearing none. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Have a great week, everybody. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
We are adjourned.